Good evening. I would like to call to order the August 26th Lake Washington School Board meeting. Please let the record reflect that Chris Carlson is excused and that all of the board members are present this evening. To begin, I'd like to entertain a motion to approve the August 26th agenda.
So moved.
Second.
It has been moved by Director La Liberty and seconded by Director Stewart that we approve the agenda. All those in favor, please signify by voting aye.
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 Anyone opposed? Hearing none, motion carries. So tonight we will begin with public comment. And so with that, as you know, there are multiple avenues in which to share public comments, both through email as well as this evening. We do typically allow up to 30 minutes on the agenda for public comments, and I have 4 people signed up this evening. When your name is called, please approach the podium and speak into the microphone, giving your full name and school attendance area for the record. We do have a stoplight system on my left over there that will show you a yellow light when you have 1 minute left, and red will signify that your 3 minutes are up. Please wrap up your comments as quickly as possible at that point. It is important for all community members to feel welcome and safe during the board's business meeting. The board does not take public comments on issues related to personnel or individually named staff at board meetings. And audience members are expected to treat all attendees with respect and civility. So to begin this evening, I would like to have Rolf Nelson. If you could please come forward to the center microphone and give us your name and school attendance area for the record. Thank you so much.
Rolf, rhymes with golf. Redmond High School feeder system. My emailed questions were not rhetorical. I think we can agree that pursuing multiple goals that are in direct opposition is bad because conflict is unavoidable and failure is guaranteed. There are intrinsic conflicts between the district curriculum and the teachers' union political positions. One example ties in with the lesson that kicked this whole thing off. Embedded throughout the curriculum is the idea that human CO2 emissions are warming the planet with inevitable catastrophic effects if we don't do something right now. It is debatable, but for the moment, let's stipulate that it is true and we must cut carbon emissions massively to save the planet. The teachers' union supports effectively open borders and mass immigration via amnesty. Incentives matter. You get more of what you reward. Many immigrants are decent family people, much like the early colonists in America. Mass amnesty is like handing everyone who cheats on the exam an A. It doesn't encourage acceptable behavior. But let's just assume, for the sake of argument, that on a standalone basis, it is good economic or social policy. Fine. But both? Encouraging millions of people from low CO2 footprint nations to come to America will destroy the planet even faster. Immigrants inevitably use more energy here than in their home country. Nearly all the increase in U.S. carbon emissions in the last 40 years are from population increases from immigration and when their children are included. One cannot reasonably support and expect success in both. A reasonable person could support one or the other, or neither, but not both. In my opinion, pushing for both destroys a person's moral authority as a decision maker or a leader. Demanding both requires magical thinking and/or deep ignorance, insanity, straight-up fraud, or a desire to destroy the country. Pushing for both and actually achieving CO2 emissions significantly lowered will result in economic devastation with massive job losses, conflict, and very likely a second civil war within your lifetime. Sometimes our students with a fancy degree and a mountain of debt, but no job and a bankrupt government and little understanding of history are not well prepared to deal with that. If human-caused global warming is not a problem, then you need to stop teaching that it is and scaring people into passing bad laws. And immigration won't destroy the planet. But if it is a real thing, and the world cannot afford immigration into any developed nation, and you should support ending all immigration and a Theodosian wall, look it up, to save the planet. I look forward to responses in email.
Thank you. The next individual who signed up this evening is Kim Lucas. So just say your name and school attendance area, that'd be great, thanks.
Okay, I'm a little taller. My name is Kim Lucas, and I work here at the RC as an admin secretary 3 in the professional learning department. I'm actually going to be reading a letter on behalf of a colleague, and so that's why I'm here. Also to support. Greetings, Lake Washington School Board. I'm writing this letter as it finds it challenging for me to be physically present to support my fellow LWSP members. as I should be, as they are representing me in my position, on finding a desirable solution for the LWSP compensation package. I live in Renton and commute to Redmond daily on I-405, heavy traffic both ways. I begin work early for an 8-hour day, and I find as my day finishes, I'm not up to traveling an additional 2.5 hours in traffic to attend a 7 p.m. board meeting, and then returning home to get up early and be rested for another busy day. I do believe attending the board meeting is extremely important and beneficial, as the other LWESP staff members are representing myself and the other office support staff. My story. I have been employed with the Lake Washington School District for 23 years as an office support staff member. I've experienced minimal compensation increases and still faithfully put my 110% to my job, as I know my fellow coworkers do as well. I routinely do extra work on my own personal time just to keep my head above water and satisfy my parents and higher level management. I rarely ask for overtime compensation, as I know it can be frowned upon. In my opinion, I find it much easier on my stress level and peace of mind to do the extra overload of work on my own personal time than to spend additional and useless time and extra energy to have an administrator approve overtime. I have experienced that it would be more efficient and less time to take it upon myself to complete the tasks and avoid the unnecessary discomfort for being behind and having to document the items and how long it would take to complete. My hourly rate with overtime or time and a half does not make a significant difference in my compensation, as when overtime is added, the extra pay is deducted for taxes. I ask the Lake Washington School Board to consider the secretarial office support staff when awarding compensation, as we are also part of the successful Lake Washington School District team. Thank you.
Thank you. The next person who has signed up is Tamara Hill.
Good evening. I'm here to read a letter from a coworker who isn't able to be here. I work at the RC here in Intervention Program Services as an admin Sec 3. Good evening. My name is Alice Wheeler, and I'm the office manager at Juanita High School. I would like to speak this evening about equity. The definition of equity: the quality of being fair and impartial. Lake Washington School District feels strongly about equity and applying equity-focused practices to support the district mission of, and I quote, ensuring all students will graduate prepared to lead a rewarding, responsible life as a contributing member of our community and greater society. As a matter of fact, back in April, most, if not all of us here tonight, had mandatory training about equity. So it's quite ironic that the Lake Washington School District administrators are not being very equitable when it comes to negotiation and bargaining of our LWASP contract. Equity, fairness, impartiality, decency. When the McCleary Decision Funds were awarded last summer, the district was quick to compensate the teachers, rightly so. Teachers have a direct impact on the success of our students. They are on the front lines, so to speak, educating, advocating for the needs of the students and families. Do we expect to get the same compensation as teachers? Of course not. Do we even expect to get the same compensation as the administrators of the district? No, we don't. And yes, that's right. The administrators were also very quick to compensate themselves. Yes, we noticed the administration gave themselves a nice raise. It's public funds, therefore public record. It didn't go unnoticed. But we do expect to receive our fair share of the McCleary decision monies that was intended for all school worker salaries. It is stated as such in the ruling, all school workers. Equity, honesty, justice, rectitude. While our administration may feel support professionals do not have as much as or as direct of an impact on student success as the teachers do, they are wrong. All of us in the Lake Washington School District in some way contributes to student success, whether it's tending to a sick child in the health room, giving directions to a lost ninth grader on the second day of school, making sure a transgender student is treated with respect and equality when they come into the office. From the secretaries that process teacher payroll to the support professionals in the warehouse that make sure students have desks and teachers have functioning S2 cards, and all the front desk secretaries at the RC that greet employees and families, we are dedicated and competent professionals, and we want to be treated with the same dignity and respect that is shown to the teachers and not treated like second-class employees. Equity, righteousness, balance, and integrity. Now is the time for the district to prove their commitment to equity by giving us support professionals our fair share of the McCleary monies. Not to oversimplify, but this money is basically an unplanned windfall for the district, and they are being prejudiced, discriminatory, and narrow-minded when it comes to compensating us. They are even unnecessarily spending additional money to pay an outside non-LWSD contractor to negotiate for them. They can't be bothered to sit face-to-face with us, to have an intelligent conversation and show us some dignity and respect by listening to our needs and concerns. They are not, and I paraphrase from the equity training, being culturally competent professionals who advocate on behalf of the needs of clients, families, the community, and colleagues. We live in the same communities as they and all teachers do, and pay the same rising property taxes. The cost of living is going up for all of us. Again, paraphrasing, they are not taking action in their workplace, community, and society to create a culture of respect and equity when it comes to the LWESP bargaining group. Equity, unbiased, reasonable, honorable equity. Thank you.
So the next person that we have on our list is Annette Bovey, and if I could please remind you, we do have a 3-minute limit. I appreciate that you're reading a letter and going through, but it will help to just make sure that we're able to hear everybody's comments this evening. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Annette Bovey. I don't have a letter, so we'll make up time right now. I'm a teacher. I'm part of the LWEA, and I just moved into a beautiful new school, so I'm pretty excited about that. And our move never would have been possible without the help of the support staff. And I'm not sure if you know, but teachers get compensated whenever they move. And when I was turning in my pay to be reimbursed for that, I didn't realize that classified staff, for all the moving they were doing, weren't being compensated for that. And it felt pretty lousy to be turning in my thing, to be getting my money for it, when the office staff were working way longer, way harder than I was, and not getting anything for that time. I know that I couldn't do my job nearly as well as I do if it weren't for the other people that were there supporting us, helping reduce our numbers in the classroom, helping us meet the student needs that we have. Our custodian, you guys know what it costs to live here in this community. I can't thank you enough for the recognition that you showed us in our last bargaining, but it hurts my heart to think that they won't be receiving something similar. That's not right. Thank you.
Thank you. I do not have anybody else signed up this evening, but if there was a chance there's somebody out there who wanted the opportunity to speak and didn't get a chance to sign in, this would now be your time. Okay, please come forward.
I'm Elena Savage. I'm a teacher at Redmond Middle School, and I quite honestly would not be here in my position, loving my job in the community that I love, as a parent as well, if it weren't for the office staff at my school. Carol Underwood, where are you? Oh, right there. There she is. I was subbing a lot, and she was the one who realized that I had potential as a teacher, and she was the one who went to our principal at the time and said, she needs to be here. And she was the one who said to me, you need to stay, as much as it hurt her to get rid of me as a sub, which I like doing too, but as I said, I'm a teacher and a parent. I cannot tell you. My kids, my biological children remember some of our office staff that they've dealt with, honestly, more than their teachers, and that's not an affront to the teachers at all. It's just because the office staff, through the schools that I have been through, have been there for them in emergencies, in different ways, out-of-the-box situations, when as a teacher you have to get that child out of your class. The office staff is there to take care of that child. The office staff, the office manager, and this is a story that, maybe I shouldn't be admitting to, but the office manager at Redmond Elementary was the one who caught that my daughter had lice, because, I was a PTA president and I'm kind of busy, and my daughter just said she had friends in her hair. And she's imaginative, so I was like, cool. And then our office manager was like, no. So, and to think that they're not getting paid what they deserve, that's absolutely ridiculous. When Carol told me about this, I said, I don't know that I want to come, because I'm kind of afraid I'll say something that I probably shouldn't in public. It's ridiculous. These people are just as important to the success of our schools as any teacher. And to take their pay away, to take away their the respect that they have in this community on the part of teachers and parents, and that is what is being talked about, is by decreasing their pay, by not giving them what they deserve, you are taking away their respect, and everything that they do is undermined. Everything. And believe me when I say, our schools could not run a single hour without all of these people here backing us up, helping us, telling us when an active shooter is coming through the door. They're the ones on the front lines. They're the ones that are going to be at the office if that ever happens. They're the ones telling me to get my kids out so I can get ourselves out, and they're putting themselves at risk, and they're getting paid less than me. That's something that you got to think about.
Thank you. Is there anyone else?
I would like to speak.
Okay, go ahead.
Thank you. I'm Carolina Borrego. I'm the office manager at Alcott Elementary School. I'm the LWESP president. We are coming to you, and we've been coming to you from the start, from these last few months, so that you could understand how important our compensation, our increase means to us. We are living in this area, and yes, we love it here, but we have cost of living situations like you all do, and we deserve to get what's in this area and what other office professionals in different districts are being paid. We're on the east side, things are more expensive. We're not asking for the moon. We're just asking for decent wages and for what's coming in the times, and not have this feeling that the district always wants to keep us down, third, fourth. We're a wonderful district. We need to show that. And you have really dedicated office professionals who just want to do a great job for you every day. And so we're just asking that you think about that. And I know that today there probably some discussion about budgets, and I'm hoping if there is that you talk about just what a bunch of money you're going to bring our way and how you're going to give us a fair compensation, because we do love working here. And we have more, it's more than just working here, it's being part of a family. We just want to be treated fairly. Thank you.
Go ahead, step forward.
My name is Deb Tipple. I'm the office manager at John Muir Elementary. Actually, I'm the outgoing office manager. I've had the rare privilege of working in this district for 20 years. Some of you I've known a long time, and every single day that I have worked in this district, I have smiled all the way to work. I have enjoyed nothing more than try to make a difference in the life of a child. And by supporting our teachers and our administrators and my colleagues, and to see the difference that it does make in a child, it is very, very frustrating work. And we all have frustrating work. We're all busy. We're all, but the impact that we make, and all of the years that I've been in the district, quite frankly, you know, every time we would come up on a bargain, it was always sort of a tug of war and a, oh my gosh. And while I really understood that, I never really thought about, yes, I thought about my money, but it wasn't at the forefront of my mind. The forefront of my mind was making a difference. And so I retire on Halloween, and I want the opportunity to say what a privilege it has been to work in this district. And I'd also like to go out knowing that my colleagues that work equally and even more than I have done, that are compensated in the way that they should be. And not just compensated, but to be treated with fairness and respect, and not to be minimized and negated. And I'm just here to tell you that I thank you for the privilege of working in this district. And I do hope that the next bargaining and the next one that comes around, and on and on, that they don't have to go through this, that they will be treated fairly and with respect, because they deserve it more than any people that I can think of. And that's all really I have to say. I have nothing prepared, but thank you.
Thank you. This will be our last public comment for the evening.
No pressure though, right? Okay. Teacher, I'm a teacher librarian at Evergreen Middle School. I've been in the district for 32 years and a couple more in Spokane. And I think back 34 years ago to my student teaching, and my master teacher, boy, that's an antiquated term, right? He turned to me and he said, Kevin, don't ever, ever lose sight of who's really keeping these schools running, and that's the office staff, the secretaries, and the custodians. I never have, and I never will. I've watched them work tirelessly for 30 plus years for the good of kids and families in our community and our district. And I have a dear friend who worked as a secretary in our district for many years at the Resource Center and at our schools. Had dinner with her the other night. She moved one district away and is making $10 an hour more per hour because of the McCleary money that was just given to them. So I'll let you do the math. I'm a librarian for a reason. But we can't compete and we can't keep good people if that's going to be the case. Thank you.
Thank you. So for our next agenda item on the evening, it is the consent agenda. And so I would look for a motion to approve the consent agenda.
So moved. Second.
It's been moved by Director La Liberty and seconded by Director Stewart to approve the consent agenda. Dr. Staven, would you poll the board?
Siri,
Yes.
Mark,
Yes.
Eric,
Yes.
Cassandra.
Yes.
And Jane, will you please summarize the donations?
I will. This month, we have donations to note from our PTSA in the amount of $35,655.89, and from private sources in the amount of $1,303.68 for an annual, or not an annual, but a total for August for $36,959.57. And we are grateful for those donations, and it's exciting to think about where those dollars will go to support our students.
Thank you. And the next item this evening is the adoption of the 2019-2020 budget. So Dr. Staven, if you could review that.
I will. The 2019-20 draft budget was presented at our June 24th meeting. Public hearing for the proposed budget was held at our August 12th board meeting. The budget was posted on the district website, and copies were made available to interested persons. Feedback could be provided via the website or email or during those public meetings. State statutes require the board to hold a public hearing on the budget and adopt the budget by resolution, which also establishes the tax levies necessary to support the general fund, capital projects fund, and the debt service fund. The F-195 state budget format is the official budget to be adopted. All program totals agree with the district format, which has a more detailed information. And so our recommendation tonight is that the Board of Directors adopts resolution number 2280, which would officially adopt the 2019-20 budget.
I will now entertain a motion to adopt resolution number 2280, officially adopting the 1920 budget.
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved by Director Liberty and seconded by Director Sage to adopt the budget. At this point, I'll open the floor for any discussion or questions.
I would just like to thank Barbara for answering multiple questions on the budget for me. It's not always intuitive what the state requires you to record, and how to record it isn't always the easiest to read through and understand, and she walked me through every point I had. So thank you.
Any other? So we have had the budget hearing on it. The budget's been presented twice before. We had the presentation at the beginning of August to be able to review the budget yet again. It is also available online. So seeing no further discussion, I'd like to take a vote. So it has been moved by Director Liberty and seconded by Director Sage. So all those in favor of passing the budget, please signify by voting aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Hearing none, motion carries. So great. Thank you so much for all the hard work on the budget and getting this through, and we're set for the next school year. So it's an exciting time to be able to move on with the strategic planning and those components. So our next agenda item is the legislative update. So Director La Liberty, do you have anything you'd like to report this evening?
Very, very briefly for the community. The board, during its study session today, started the process for framing out our legislative priorities for the upcoming year. That is a work in progress, so there will be more of an update at our next board meeting, when we will have hopefully a list of priorities to bring to the Legislative Assembly to adopt at that meeting. So we'll be reporting that out the next one.
Thank you. Okay, so the next item is the superintendent report. And so Dr. Staven will be presenting the 2019-2022 strategic plan as part of that report. So this is an exciting time as we move forward. This was part of a lot of community forums prior. At the beginning of this year has been built into this, as well as much back and forth discussion. So it'll be exciting to have this presented.
So turn that on. Yes, we're excited. We have been introducing our revised strategic plan to staff. been coming back last week and this week, and now we're looking forward to all of the next steps that go into operationalizing the work. And so tonight we present it in our public forum, and then we will have documents available on the website. We have some videos that go with it, and we are certainly open to presenting. We already have a couple of invitations from community groups, and we look forward to presenting this in multiple places across our community as we talk about the continuation of the work in our district. I also think it's very fitting that tonight we have passed a budget that we know is very important, that we align the resources that we have as a district with this strategic work. And so at the conclusion of going through the components of the strategic plan, I also just want to talk about how all of these things connect together, because we talk about our policies and our resources, and all of those things really have a single purpose, which is to support students and to make sure that we're doing our very best work for our students every day. So with that, this is, like we said earlier, a culmination of a lot of things. It was our community forums, it's been work with staff, it's as we learn and grow along the way and know what best practice is, and we take all of those things that we know need to be in place from those variety of audiences and the needs that we see, what our data tells us, and we put that into a document that really is designed to serve as a roadmap. And as we continue this next phase of the work that's guided by this strategic plan, we've also attached a theme to that, because when we have kind of that unifying thread, it helps us to be consistent in our messaging, and it really helps our community grab hold of what it is that we are all about in Lake Washington School District. And so our theme this year and for the next 3 years is Elevate, knowing that we want to continue to take what is really an excellent district with many, many benefits for our students. We have great facilities, we have great people, and we just want to focus on how do we continue to get better over time. We have so many great opportunities already in place for students, but we also know that we have room to grow and elevate our practice. So with that, we'll get into things that are very familiar. First of all, our mission. Our mission doesn't change. Our mission of our Lake Washington School District is that each student will graduate. And we've seen our students even graduating this summer. We know that graduation is a critical step in the life of a student for them to be able to have a future. And we want them to graduate, but we also want them to be prepared. And we talk about in our mission of being prepared to lead a rewarding and responsible life as a contributing member of our community and our greater society. That means we want them to be an active participant. We want them to be somebody who contributes and brings their very best that they have to the world around them. Our vision to do that is that every student will be future ready. They're going to be prepared to go to college. They're going to be prepared for a global workforce. They're going to be prepared for personal success. And they're going to be prepared for whatever it is that they choose to pursue in life. We also have values that we talk about in this district. And I love this page because it says, from the boardroom to the classroom, Lake Washington School District is committed to the values that shape our culture. So what are those things that really serve as a foundation for everything that we do? First of all and foremost is our focus on students. To prepare our students, we believe that all students must have opportunities to learn a rich curriculum in an inclusive classroom. That means we really want that classroom experience to be a great place for kids, but it's also rigorous, and it's in a place where they feel like they belong. We want them to come to school and enjoy what they're learning, where they're learning it, and with the people that they are learning. The second is a focus on learning. To continue growing as an organization, everyone must have access to learning opportunities that encourage ongoing growth and development. That means students, and that means adults. We all have to be growing in what it is that we're doing every single day, whether it's knowledge or skills or our knowledge of each other. We want our focus to continue to be on learning. We also focus on connections. To engage our community, our district must be focused on strong partnerships, outstanding service, and clear communication. We know that those are vital ingredients for a successful school district. And finally, a focus on results. To be the best school district in the world, we're committed to high-quality implementation of practices that produce positive change and sustainable transformation. And that means that the things that we invest in and the things that are important to us are those things that we really believe are going to lead us to be a better district, better outcomes for students. But they aren't just things that kind of come and go, but they're things that last and have lasting effects for our students. So our priorities are part of this document, and the strategic priorities are the outcomes of that collaborative process I referenced before with staff, students, and our community. The feedback helped us prioritize key initiatives and indicators that set the direction of our district work for the next 3 years. That's also looking at what's been the historical path of the district. There are some things that have been underway and are going to continue, where some things are newer initiatives that we are beginning and know is important to our work ahead. When we elevate our purpose, we know where we're going. That's that clear vision of what we're all about. And when we elevate our practice, we get better along the way. And that's that daily persistence of how we focus on just being better in everything that we do. So we elevate everyone and everything as we focus on these primary areas. Success, which is setting high expectations and providing the support to help our students and staff grow every year. Well-being is we create safe, welcoming, and inclusive places for students and staff. Engagement, we engage students, families, and community partners to improve student outcomes and build trust. Excellence, we ensure organizational responsibility through the effective use of resources and systems that align with district values and strategic priorities. Innovation, we encourage new ideas that embrace creativity and reimagine teaching and learning. And equity, we increase equitable outcomes by addressing barriers to engagement and success. So let's get into these individually, just a little bit more deeply. In the first area of academic success, our belief statement is that we believe that every student can learn and achieve at high levels, and it's our responsibility to help each student learn, grow, and be challenged. Our commitment to success for every student is rooted in the ideals of opportunity, equity, and inclusion. So some of our big areas of focus will be culturally responsive teaching, multi-tiered systems of support for academics, which is really a framework that helps us make sure we're supporting students at all levels of need. Career, technical, and college pathways is that aspect of helping students being ready for that future and helping them know what their interests are and being exposed to a variety of things that help them be ready for college. Integrated instructional technology are all of those wonderful tools, digital resources that serve to support instruction in our classrooms. Innovative learning opportunities are those things that are really stretching the boundaries and helping us provide the latest and greatest opportunities for students. That's with partnerships, that's with opportunities that students have to pursue interests and aptitudes and all of those things that are unique to them. And finally, inclusive early learning, which is working with our preschool models to increase the inclusionary practices that we have for our youngest learners. So when we look a little bit more in depth of each of those items in the area of academic success, one of the primary aspects of culturally responsive teaching is the training that is underway. This is training that supports our staff members to understand and implement strategies that support culturally responsive classroom environments, relationships, and teaching. And those are really 3 key words there. The environment is that place where students learn and grow every day. The relationships are critical to what we know to be true about a student's ability to learn. And teaching is the craft that helps put all of those things together as we translate that academic piece with the personal relationship and the growth side of that. Multi-tiered systems of support for academics is the support that we are giving to our school leaders and our teacher teams, how we use our assessments, the interventions that we use to support students, instruction and accelerated learning, and developing equitable and inclusive school communities. So we have training that's already been underway and will continue, as well as a multi-year plan for increasing inclusionary practices, so all students, and we've focused specifically on our students with disabilities with some of those inclusionary practices that we want kids to have access to core curriculum and supports for academic and social success. So how are we making sure that every student feels a sense of belonging, has what they need to learn and grow in that regular ed classroom, and has the supports that they need to be successful academically? Career and technical college pathways, just getting into that a little bit more specifically. We want to expand our career and technical course pathways, including that middle level version, and thinking about how that middle level path continues up into high school and then beyond, making sure that kids have opportunity to be exposed to a lot of different areas of interest. Increasing our dual credit offerings and connections to higher education. We know that students who have the ability to obtain that credit for a dual credit option and have some of that college credit right when they graduate from high school are then able to apply that to their secondary programs and be a few steps ahead. Expanding opportunities for career-connected learning, such as internships and youth apprenticeships in high schools, and our 18 to 21-year-old Transition Academy program. These are opportunities for students we continue to cultivate and we're really purposefully focusing on, because we know that one of the best ways to give students a window into their future is that actual hands-on experience in that place or with people who are already experts in those areas. And so those are some of the big areas under career and technical ed. Under integrated instructional technology, again, this is helping our staff to leverage the investments that we've made in digital learning and making sure that we have really good use of those laptop computers that we've put into the hands of our students. And so training on using our one-to-one mobile devices. Our smart interactive panels are those wonderful teaching tools that you see on the walls of our classroom, and how our teachers are accessing those and helping students with their learning with that piece of technology. Accessibility is an area that we are focusing on more purposefully, so when we are posting things on our website or developing materials for our students, is it accessible to someone who may be visually impaired or hearing impaired or need language assistance? And then finally, our Microsoft tools that our adults are using, the way that we organize courses, the way that we interact with students, how we have digital portfolios, all of those kinds of ways that we can access our Microsoft tools to make sure that we are maximizing the efficiency and effectiveness of what we have, and really making learning come alive with some of those ways that we support with our Microsoft tools in the classroom. And then finally, as I said earlier, our inclusive early learning, where we are hoping to expand and enhance our inclusive preschool programming and expanding those inclusive practices through ongoing training. And that's an exciting area as well, and we would all like to see early childhood opportunities expand just both here in our district as well as across our state. So that's another area of focus. And finally, innovative learning opportunities. We hope that we can really identify and expand some of the things that are happening in our curricular areas, but particularly we're focusing on computer science and coding, science, technology, engineering, and mathematics, which is commonly known as STEM. Our fine arts, we have some really exciting possibilities. Kids are doing more and more with digital recording, with composition, with how they like to create and do music and dance and the visual arts. All of those are embedded within the fine arts. And then finally, dual language. We have begun the process of offering dual language in our district, and we hope to continue expanding that. Then it's identifying and expanding learning opportunities, experiences and curriculum resources in all content areas, engaging with national networks of school districts to learn from model programs and practices that enhance teaching and learning here in our district, and increasing the strategic partnerships that we enjoy with organizations that enhance our core curriculum. So it's again, how do we make learning come alive for our students? The progress indicators that are what we look at to see if we are accomplishing these wonderful goals includes things like the percent of our K-2 students meeting end-of-year benchmarks in reading, the percentage of our students who are meeting state standards in math and English language arts in grades 3, 5, 8, and 10, the percent of students completing advanced coursework, the percent of our students graduating, and the percent of students in a post-secondary career or education institution within 2 years of graduation. So there's a lot going on in the area of academic success, which there should be, because that is our primary goal in our district. But we have some other areas that are just as important because they serve as a supporting role. As our kids are learning in our classroom, there are some other big areas that we also want to focus on. And one of those is well-being. We believe that all students must be safe and feel a sense of belonging if they are to succeed. It's our responsibility to create safe and inclusive learning communities in every school where every student and family is valued and welcomed. So in the area of well-being, our areas of focus are on, again, that multi-tiered system of support, but now we're looking at behavioral and social emotional supports, our school equity teams, security and emergency preparedness, cybersecurity, and activities and athletics. So just a little bit about each of those areas. Within the multi-tiered systems of support, we're going to continue to implement and provide training for social and emotional learning in grades K-12, and it even drops a bit down into preschool, but this is where we have implemented our second step curriculum and continue to add resources for how we're equipping students in that area. Implementing positive behavior intervention and supports, which you've heard us talk about, PBIS, and making sure that we have solid teams and structures in all of our schools. PBIS is a nationally recognized framework. It's research-based, and really it's built on how do we set up the right conditions for students to learn well. What are the routines and procedures that we have in place? What are the supports that we offer to students if they're needing some extra support? And what are the supports that we offer in connection with our community partners when students might have some significant needs that we need to help support in our district? Then it's building capacity through fiscal and human resources to focus on prevention, intervention, and response to students' social-emotional needs, and specifically social-emotional learning, student behavioral health, drug and alcohol use, and suicide prevention. Those are some of the barriers that we know can get in the way of our students' learning that we want to be well-equipped to address. And finally, developing partnerships with community agencies to provide support to families in transition or crisis. This is an area that school districts really across the country are looking at, and we know that we can't do things alone. We have to have the right supports and the right resources to connect our students and families to. Our school equity teams are in place and growing. They serve to review school-level practices and data and provide guidance to the school community around improving our equity efforts. And this is growing to be a very important part of our district and a very kind of solid web, if you will, of expertise as we continue to grow in our knowledge and our understanding of what it means to be a district that has equitable services, equitable practices. And there's a lot of work that we have ahead of us, but we feel like this is a structure that's been effective and will continue to be effective in how we do that to scale across our district. And then in the area of security and emergency preparedness, we want to ensure uniform safety and security protocols are established for all schools. So everyone in every school knows what to do when a particular incident happens. We've had the training that we need. We have expectations for how we go about keeping kids safe. We will have to provide consistent training on those systems to support a crisis response. And then we want to offer parent and community learning opportunities to understand and prepare for crisis situations. This is something that really came out in our community forums. Parents know we do drills, they know that we work with students, but they wanted to know more about that. And part of it is because they want to be able to support their children at home, and they also want to know more so that they can be actively involved in preparing their students for things that they may be thinking about or want to be more prepared as a family. But that's something that we look forward to offering is just more opportunities to connect with our parents around security and emergency preparedness. And then finally, collaborating with community leaders and agencies to ensure effective systems of emergency response. Again, we know we can't do this work alone. And in a community of school district, we have multiple communities that make up our district that requires some coordination in how we network all of those communities together to function with us as a whole, as a school district. Cybersecurity, of course, is something that every organization is thinking more and more about, and it makes up a few different strands for our school district. First of all, implementing a comprehensive digital citizenship curriculum in all grades is important to us. We need to make sure that kids are good consumers online, that they know how to be safe, that we're equipping them to do the right thing and to discern what it is that they're reading or getting for information. Continue identifying additional tools and protocols to enhance district network security and protect district data and user privacy. This is something that's very important to us, and we take very seriously knowing the amount of data that we house in a school district. Provide information and training for families to understand and oversee the use of student devices. This is another area that we talked about quite a bit in our community forums with parents is we have devices that we do give to students, which means that device is now with a family, and parents want to be well equipped to help guide their children well as they work on those devices and know how to access all of the tools that we want them to be able to access well. Then in the area of activities and athletics, knowing that these are the things that also support students and their sense of belonging and the way that they connect with other kids, we want to be able to expand opportunities for student participation in activities and athletics to promote belonging and wellness and identify additional student activities that meet the needs of a diverse community. We know that there are things out there that students are interested in. It might be the addition of clubs or sports or fine arts, but what is it that kids want to do and how do we help make that happen? Our progress indicators in our wellness area are things like the percent of students and families telling us that they feel a sense of safety and belonging at school. We also want to notice the percent of students reporting social awareness and emotional regulation skills. If we're teaching these things, are they able to articulate how they're putting those things into practice and helping them to be healthy as people? The percent of students avoiding exclusionary discipline and chronic absenteeism. We want to make sure kids are in school. They need to be in school to be learning, and so we want to avoid those practices that keep them from being in school. And the percent of affirmative items on an annual safety audit, meaning when we look at our practices, are we able to say that we're getting better with our consistency and with everybody knowing what to do, how to do it, and have we provided the right supports for that to happen? The next area in our strategic plan focuses on our community engagement because we know that strong communities help to build strong schools, and the reciprocal of that is also true, that strong schools build strong communities. We're told on a regular basis that families have moved to this area and have chosen it because they want to be part of the Lake Washington School District. And so as part of this, we're focusing again on our district equity teams, culturally responsive family engagement, strategic partnerships, family and community feedback processes. So just to reiterate just a bit, our district equity teams, again, are part of this process and making sure that we have a diverse team made up of staff, parents, and community members. And the goal of that, of course, is to improve our efforts to make sure that we are focusing on the right things to close those opportunity gaps, our achievement gaps, and that we are helping to provide equitable and inclusive working and learning environments for our students, families, staff, and communities. Do people feel comfortable when they come to school? Do they feel welcomed? Do they feel part of our district? Part of that also is our culturally responsive family engagement equity team. And one of the things that we are in the process of doing is establishing cultural family liaisons to provide outreach services to families that contribute to school success and advocate for families who may be underrepresented. This is an exciting thing for us to focus on, and the volunteers that we are working with, we're just thinking about all the ways that we can be more inclusive, and how do we make sure that if people are coming totally new to our district and have never stepped foot in one of our schools or in our district office, what are the practices that we need to have in place to connect with people right away, and having the right people guiding that work. We've had a very successful Natural Leaders program, and we want to continue developing and expanding that program. We also want to expand our access to interpretation and translated information. All of this would be great to have located in what we hope to establish as a district family welcome center. We envision that to serve as a hub, a place for people to go to get information, to get education, and to get the supports that they need. And then finally, developing specific strategies to engage families who are new to our district and provide consistent, accessible information and support. Do people know where to go to get the information? Is it easy to get? Do they have the right tools that they need to let us know what their needs are? Our strategic partnerships are really important to our work. We want to increase opportunities for students, and to do that, we think there is a whole lot of resources right around us that maybe we can tap in some more purposeful ways. We know that we have a lot of world-class partners in the area that can lend their expertise and can be part of the work in our schools and really help us have some new vision for learning, and really make sure that, again, that curriculum is coming to life for our students with maybe some new opportunities for kids to have some pretty exciting things that they might be part of with some of our community partners. We also want to focus on expanding our partnerships with local government and community-based organizations to identify mutually beneficial opportunities to address the needs and priorities of our communities. We have some common things that we're trying to address, as well as some of our community partners, and some of that just has to do with the logistics of our community and things that we think we can partner with them on and be more effective, and look at some of the problems, good problems to have, things like space. Where might we be able to access space differently? Where might we be able to share services, and how can we find things that are mutually beneficial for both the school district and the partner? Family and community feedback is also important to us. We want to continue identifying and utilizing the technology strategies that we have to gather ongoing input and feedback from students, parents, community, and staff. How do we ask the right questions and do it in such a way that we get information that's valuable, that's just in time? It's not a survey that comes much later, but can really be something that guides our work much closer to when things are happening. Expand the use of live community engagement strategies on topics that are relevant to the success of our students and of interest to our community. And finally, utilizing collaborative communication models to provide opportunities to listen and learn from students, families, and community groups. One of the models that we've talked about is a community cafe model, but how do we sit down with a group of people and really have good conversations that help us grow as a district? Things we'll be looking at to indicate progress in this area is a percent of students, families, and staff reporting that Lake Washington School District provides equitable and inclusive working and learning environments, the percent of families who indicate that they regularly receive useful information from Lake Washington, and the percent of community members who indicate that Lake Washington School District effectively gathers feedback on important issues. Then we focus on staff, because we believe that each employee in our district plays a vital role in contributing to the success of our students. We value all the professionals within our organization and are committed to ensuring that we support and develop a high quality and diverse workforce. So the big three areas in this category are workforce diversity, recruitment and retention, and professional learning. So first, we focus on strategies that help us recruit and hire diverse candidates. Things like alternative routes to certification programs to support classified employees becoming teachers, focused outreach to community groups, students of color, affinity groups, and other networks of current and future educators of color, and developing and expanding the high school TEACH program. You've, I think, heard of that before, which uses the Recruiting Washington Teachers Program model to develop pathways from Lake Washington schools into careers in teaching. And then developing our internal and external programs to actively support, develop, mentor, and retain a diverse staff. This also involves some new strategies to streamline, support, and simplify the processes that we have for recruiting new staff members. We want to identify strategies to recruit and hire the most highly qualified employees, which means looking at our timelines for hiring and hoping to get those as early as possible so that we get the best candidates before they go somewhere else. Developing support for credentialing and adding endorsements and applying to the district, and providing professional development opportunities to potential and future district employees. And finally, exploring some new strategies that encourage employee retention and longevity. There are some things that we've done historically that have been successful, but we think there are some things that we can look at that exemplify the modern workplace that maybe we can begin incorporating into our strategies. Our professional learning is also a big part of this as we build internal capacity for staff. We want them to continue to grow in their expertise and their experience. We want to fully implement our professional learning management system, or you've heard it referred to as our PLMS, which is the framework that houses the opportunities that staff can be part of, and provide training and support for district staff, specifically in the areas of equity and inclusion, cultural competency, innovative practices and mindset, and instructional technologies. And then providing training for all paraeducators and instructional assistants in ways that help them support instruction, professionalism and ethics, supporting a positive and safe learning environment, communicating effectively and participating in team processes, and again, cultural competency. So here's our progress indicators for this part of the work. Percentage of increase in diversity of certificated, classified, and administrative applicants and hires. Percent of teachers, administrators, and classified staff retained annually. The percent of staff reporting professional development supports their work, meaning I'm getting what I need for training to do my job better all the time. Finally, the effective use of resources. We believe that using our resources responsibly and strategically will result in success for our students. As a publicly funded organization, we must be efficient and effective in our use of public resources to ensure and maintain trust. So we're focusing on facilities and technology systems, our transportation systems, and our fiscal responsibility. In the area of facilities and technology systems, we want to continue to expand our partnership. We want to be able to accommodate a growing student population. We also want to explore those non-traditional options for district space needs, training spaces, and offices. We're getting too big for some of the spaces that we currently use. We want to develop community partnerships for shared spaces and facilities within local jurisdictions. Continue to explore additional innovative school models and programming, including the effective use of space and emerging technologies for student learning. We also want to explore web-based solutions for facility management to maximize the use of public spaces. How do we let people use our facilities as much as possible and do it in a way that's very coordinated and consistent? We're also going to be convening a facilities task force to start looking at future school and program needs and opportunities, and continue building and strengthening our district technology systems to support district operational and strategic work. As we grow as a district, that infrastructure is important to continue growing along with our population. In the area of transportation systems, we want to make sure that we're enhancing those systems to ensure communication, safety, and efficiency. We also want to be exploring alternative modes of transportation to accommodate staff and students and increase accessibility to programs and services. Our bus drivers and our transportation system does a great job. This is really about what else might be possible for how we move people and how do we help kids have opportunities outside of the school day that allows them to be involved and connected to their school and programs. And finally, in the area of fiscal responsibility, we want to continue to maintain the highest degree of fiscal responsibility and financial stability in line with the meritorious budget award criteria as we align our resources, as we provide accessible information, and we're accountable for our planning. Progress indicators for this final area are the percent of community members who indicate that Lake Washington uses resources effectively and practices sound financial management, percent of district bus routes with on-time student pickup and drop-off, the percent of students and families reporting satisfaction with district transportation services, receipt of the meritorious budget award, and the percent of a bond rating from agencies that rate the district's credit as AAA, AA+, or better. So just to talk briefly in this last slide about how everything fits together. We have a strategic plan, we have board policies, we have goals and things that we talk about. So I just wanted to give you a graphic that kind of ties things together as we're doing our policy work. Oops, I'm going the wrong way. I think it's helpful to kind of just weave it together. So we talked briefly about our mission, and that's really what guides our work, supported by the values that we believe in. And in order to make that vision a reality and to uphold those values, we have to be focused on the results that we want for our student achievement, because that's really why we exist. And so our results policies are focused on 3 big areas: our district mission, our academic content, knowledge, and skills, and then life skills and citizenship, to provide that kind of well-rounded view of what we want to see for the results for our students. In order to make those happen, we have to have areas of focus that support what we do, and that comes through our operational expectations. And those are all of those areas that support our programs, that support our schools, and that make those great things happen for students in our classrooms. Then we take all of those operational expectations and those get translated out into strategies. And those strategies are what really focus on those big areas of our strategic plan: academics, well-being, community engagement, excellent staff, effective use of resources, and a doubled effective use of resources. I'll have to go back and look at that one. We missed that one. But all of those really are connected, and that's what begins to operationalize things into department action plans. And then finally, those things become operationalized even one more layer out into our school improvement plans, what our departments and grade levels set for goals, right down to what those student goals are. So there really shouldn't be anything in our district that feels disconnected or that feels as an outlier, because all of this is designed to aim right back up at those results for student achievement. So we're excited to start the year. We're excited to get busy with continuing and starting new work. Our Elevate theme really is guiding all of that as a common thread. We'll be talking with our community about how they can help schools elevate, and really it's all about elevating our students. But we have to be purposeful in the work that we do. So it feels good to have this guiding document. It feels good to have the resources in this district to support that work. And we are really excited for students to come through the door next week and get all of this underway as we support them in their growth and in their learning. That concludes my superintendent report.
Thank you. Any questions or comments?
I know you mentioned that there are several community engagement opportunities or presentations that staff will make at community engagement opportunities, which is great. How is this being rolled out to staff?
We gave them essentially a toolkit, and so they have the written strategic plan, and then we've kind of chunked it. And so as schools are getting busy with training and doing lots of things this year, we said we want you to be able to position this where it makes sense for you in your schedule this week. This is Leap Week, which is when all of our teachers come back and schools are very busy getting many things underway for the year. And so we have introductory videos that go along with the different sections of the strategic plan. We'll be posting those on the website as well, so our community can watch those. And then as we begin the year, the strategies are then moving into our departments. And so in our work of equity, there's an equity more detailed plan that staff will be learning about and seeing how that gets operationalized. And those will also be available on our website. Then it won't be very long before we'll be providing an update on the progress of our strategic plan and publicizing that, but we've tried to give it to them in multiple ways. We've had activities that Cabinet introduced to our administrators last week to help them feel equipped to begin rolling that out to staff. And it's just kind of continually keeping the work at the forefront. Gone are the days of the giant 3-ring binders with your strategic plan in it that you get done and then you put on the shelf because you had your visit and then it goes away. We really want this to be a living, breathing document that we refer back to and that really defines what the work is in our school district.
I just want to say how happy I am with this. I think even at a high level, I love the shift to it seems to me to shift to a growth mindset for our district, and I think this is just also just a wonderful publication that you've put together. I know this was quite the summer project for everyone. When will this be available on the website for the community to see?
It may be up there already, but I believe tomorrow. Today was kind of the big rollout in our
Excellent.
schools, and so it'll be available in a PDF. And then the other thing that we have put together is kind of the one-page version of this. So as we go out and talk with our community, we have kind of a simplified version that we can leave with people and have as a little bit more simple view for people to be reminded of what the work is.
Great, thank you.
Well, thank you very much. Appreciate the strategic plan. This is great to see the work laid out that way. I do have one other question on the community engagement piece. You mentioned that you were doing some presentations. Are there ways for people to reach out to the district, and what's the way to do so if they want to?
Absolutely. We would love to present this at as many public opportunities as we can. They can go to our district website and hit the Let's Talk button and let us know if there is some event coming up that they would like to have us speak at. You can contact Diane. She's pretty accessible on the web with her email with the superintendent's office, but you could really email any of us or just call the district office and tell us when you have an organization getting together. It might be neighborhood, it might be a service group, or just a group that you're part of that you think would be interested in hearing about our work.
And the only other one is PTA. How will this roll out to our PTAs?
PTA will have our beginning of the year meeting with them very soon, and we'll go over this whole document with them. And we have worked with PTSA leadership to talk about how we might thread it through the year, kind of with their meetings that they have with members. And we're happy to come and talk with school level PTSAs as well.
That's great. It'll be great as this sort of rolls out through everything, and we can have those conversations of how this all builds, because as you said through here, strong communities build strong schools, and strong schools build strong communities. So this is a great opportunity to sort of align all that work together. So thank you for all the work. Okay. Any other comments or questions? All right. Any other board member comments in general? Okay, so our next board meeting coming up will be September 9th. We will have a reception with new administrators starting at 4:30 with a study session to follow at 5 p.m. and we'll be reviewing our ends results policies and then a legislative connection, and 7 p.m. will be the board meeting. And so with that, I will now entertain a motion to adjourn. Moved by Director Sage and seconded by Director Stewart to adjourn our meeting. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
No one opposed? All right, meeting is adjourned.